When we first met, I thought he was perfect. He was a police officer, a detective in fact, with this controlled confidence you couldn't help noticing whenever he entered a room. His name was Aditya, but everyone called him Adi. Tall, soft-spoken, with a quick smile reserved for friends, and a gaze that made you feel halfway exposed. I was 22 when we started dating, still finishing my master's degree, completely unaware that I was standing at the beginning of a maze I'd only understand from the center. From the outside, our life together looked enviable. We had a 2-bedroom apartment above a bakery that always smelled like fresh bread in the mornings. But then there were the absences, the phone calls at midnight, the urgent leads that drew him away at dinner. I thought it was the job. It had to be. And he never spoke about what he did at work, not specifics, not ever. He once told me,
"The world can be uglier than we want to believe. Sometimes it's better not to see."
I assumed he was talking about the bodies, about tragedy and crime. That was how I let it go, because I trusted him. It wasn't until the 4th anniversary of our wedding that I saw the first crack. He'd always been careful, even with his secrets, but I found his shirt balled up in the laundry, stained with something dark and sticky, almost entirely washed out. I asked about it. He barely flinched.
"Car accident on the highway. Some poor kid didn't make it. I got there first."
He smiled so calmly, I believed him. Over the years, sometimes I'd sense something different in him when he came home late. A certain chilliness, almost as if he was thinking about another life. He'd sit on the balcony for an hour, silent, holding a cup of black tea he never drank. Then, as if shaking off a bad dream, he'd come back to bed. Then the news stories started. You have to understand, this was a city where everyone knew someone. So when word spread of a string of murders, gruesome, calculated, and unlike anything the department had seen, everyone felt it. The victims were always older men, loners, each left in their home, strangled, no signs of forced entry, always between midnight and dawn. Addie became more distracted. He was jittery. He started sleeping less, shaving his beard off entirely. He lost weight, skipped meals, and started locking his phone with codes I didn't know. His love, though, never wavered, or at least the performance of it didn't. One night he came home, his hands shaking. He told me a suspect was in custody.
"We'll catch him soon. This will all end,"
he promised, clutching my hand in a grip far tighter than he realized. But the murders didn't stop. The department began looking inward. If these crimes were so perfectly concealed, maybe the killer knew how to cover his tracks. Maybe, they whispered, he was one of their own. Addie laughed off the rumors, but I found a note once, crumpled in his jacket. "Do you ever really know anyone?" Written in his blocky handwriting. I couldn't sleep. I started watching him more carefully. He worked longer hours, but sometimes I'd find receipts hidden in his desk drawer. Petrol stations, convenience stores, late-night purchases, when he was supposed to be at the precinct. And his eyes, they looked hollowed out, like he'd seen something he knew he shouldn't. It all finally broke the night an officer came to our door. She asked if Addie could come with her. He looked so calm. "Of course," he said. "Anything to help." He kissed me softly. His hand trembled. Just once. That was the last time I saw him outside of a courtroom. They kept him in custody for 48 hours. They found fibers under his nails, trophies from victims' homes in his locker. He confessed on the 3rd day. I learned through a prosecutor. Addie spoke in a flat, clinical voice, details only the killer would know. The department faced their worst nightmare. I stood in our empty apartment, life unrecognized, his face on every channel, neighbors' pity or accusation, endless questions. The trial was a spectacle. DNA, CCTV, the confession. Watching him, I couldn't reconcile the man I married. He never looked at me. Guilty, life in prison. His expression barely changed. Afterward, debris questioned every memory. Maybe the scariest part is the ordinariness, horror wearing a familiar face. Now, years later, I still wake with a start. But I know better. The world can be uglier than you want to believe, and sometimes there's nothing you can do but face it.